Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you my best settings for Hell Let Loose on console. So these settings will apply if you're on PS5, on Xbox Series X and also on Xbox Series S. And fingers crossed, if you try these you'll be hitting way more targets, getting way more kills and having way more fun, which is what we all want to do, isn't it? Let's face it. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and if you want to see more Hell Let Loose console content, then check out the rest of my channel and feel free to subscribe. Okay, let's have a look at my settings. So first up we have the gameplay menu. I haven't changed a great deal here, but let's just go through and I'll explain what each of the different sections does and why I've set them the way they are. Okay, manual bolt cycling, I have this set to off. I want any bolt action rifles to chamber the next round after each shot so that I have one less thing to worry about. Show hints, obviously if you're new, leave them on for a bit. If you're not, then turn them off so they don't get in the way. Nameplate view distance, this is the distance you can see your teammates. I've dropped these down a notch to 250 meters. I think 500 was a little excessive. I don't need to see my team if they are 500 meters away. I'm in and out of the map all the time anyway, so dropping this to 250 declutters the screen a bit. I may even drop this down again. Nameplate use icons only. This is essentially the distance-friendly player names will appear above their class icons in game. I don't think I've changed this. 15% seems just fine for me. Next, nameplate player opacity. This is how bold your friendly team icons are. I've dropped this down to 40% again to try and declutter the screen a bit so I have more chance of seeing the enemy. Hide markers with HUD. This basically stops any markers from any of the officers or the commander showing up on the screen when the HUD disappears. I have this set to yes, so they go away when the HUD fades away. Again, I'm using the map and the compass to navigate usually, so that's the best setting for me. Marker display duration, this is the length of time markers stay up on the HUD for. I have this set to 15 seconds, so I have a bit more time to identify where I'm going, as well as different targets. Ping display duration, you want this as long as possible. This is the duration that those little red triangle pings stay up for. If your teammate pings a target, you'll get 5 seconds to rotate round, or whatever to identify the ping. HUD display mode, I have this set to default. I've never changed this. I may set this to toggle, actually, just to give it a whirl. But do me a favour, don't set this to always on. One of the best things about this game is the immersion, and if you always have a HUD, then you'll lose a good chunk of that. But essentially, I'll leave it up to you. HUD display duration, self-explanatory really, but this is the duration the HUD stays on for if the display mode is set to default. I've dropped this to 5 seconds to give me a brief overview of the landscape and then disappear. Get that immersion back. Clan tag, if you're in a clan, you'll know about this one. I'm not in a clan, so I leave this blank. Reset hints, resets the game hints back to how they were when you first launched the game. You might want to do that if you've forgotten how to play for some reason. Map icon scale, that changes the size of the icons on the map. Okay, let's move on to the fun part, the controls section. This is probably where you're going to get most value, I think, so let's just get straight into it. Lean toggle, if you're running on controller type A like me, then your leans will be mapped to R3 and L3, also known as clicking in the thumbsticks. Trying to hold down the sticks while aiming and shooting is way too hard for me, so I have to have this set to toggle. ADS toggle, for me, I have this off. It allows me to quickly ADS in and out in a hurry, which also helps if you have lower sensitivities. This is also how most other FPS games like Call of Duty and Battlefield work, so sort of you should be used to that if you play those games. Sprint toggle is on for those running simulator moments, which there are plenty of if your team aren't building garrisons. Steady aim toggle, this was a game changer when it was released. For controller type A, steady aim is bound to RB, and trying to hold this button down while ADSing and then shooting was very, very awkward, and I just couldn't hit a thing. I have this set to on, and now it's way better. Vibration speaks for itself. I have this off. I don't want vibrations to throw me off my aim when it's already so hard to hit people. Aim assist, I have never felt a difference with this on, so mine is set to off, but you may want to try this out for yourself. I'm just not sure what it actually does. Okay, now for the juicy bit, controller sensitivities. We've got controller sensitivity X and Y. This is obviously looking left and right and up and down. I have X set to 56% and Y set to 30%. Now, separating these two out was another game changer for me. I have more control of my thumb moving left and right than I do moving up and down. So I have Y set to almost half of X, which works absolutely great for me. Controller sensitivity when ADS X and Y. X is set to 16 and Y is set to 12. So again, I have more control with my thumb on the X axis, so I can have that higher than the Y. You may be thinking, Chris, these are really slow, but these ADS sensitivities allow me to acquire targets more easily at medium to long range, which in Hell Let Loose is where most of your engagements are going to be. For short range, I ADS in and out to acquire targets. I don't move much at all in ADS. You'll see this in most of the gameplay videos that I've got on my channel. The settings in Hell Let Loose mean you have to compromise essentially. Either keep them low for medium to long range engagements or higher them up for closer ones, but you can't do both, unfortunately, yet. Hopefully the devs will allow us to change response curves at some point, but I'm not hopeful, sadly. One thing I have found helps massively on this game is get yourself a little stick extender on the right thumbstick. It basically gives you a larger range of motion to find those targets a bit easier. I just grabbed some cheap ones off Amazon. The more premium ones are by Kontrol Freek, and I believe you can extend the sticks on the Elite controller too. Anyway, I'll drop a link to those in the description if you want to have a peek at those. Right, moving on. Controller scope sensitivity. I don't think I've changed this from default. I hardly ever play sniper, so I'll leave this up to you. Acceleration X and Y, I have these set to 100, which means no acceleration. I find it helps immensely to build muscle memory when the aiming speed is consistent. That being said, I'd love to have some kind of exponential aiming curve like on Insurgency's Sandstorm. If you haven't played that, I mean, that game absolutely nails gunplay. It's really tight, it's great. I wish they had that sort of gunplay in this game. Map cursor sensitivity, this is the speed the cursor moves on the map. 50% is fine, good for marking as squad leader and pinging directly on the map. Movement dead zone and look dead zone, this is the distance from thumbstick rest to actually registering movement. Now you want these to be as low as possible before movement is registered in game when you aren't touching the thumbsticks. This is what stick drift is. If you very slowly start looking down or up or whatever in game without doing anything, then you need to increase this until this stick drift stops. I have these set to 16%. Getting the look dead zone spot on will make a massive difference to your aim, so really pay attention to this one. Then we've got inverting any of the axes. I have these all set to off, but it's personal preference, and that's controls done. Next one is video. Brightness. This is personal to you and your display, so have a mess around when you're in the game. I find that I can see into darker areas better while maintaining graphical quality at 130 brightness. Motion blur, this is a controversial one. I think it's highly subjective, so try both on and off, but I find I can detect targets easier with it off as the game isn't blurring out any of the enemies. Okay, controller menu. I use controller type A as mentioned previously. Key things here are assigning leans to the sticks, so clicking in the thumbsticks is your leaning. The comms wheel is set on LB and the equipment wheel on RB. There was doubt as to how they do the comms when the game was first ported to console, but I think they've done a really good job. Finally, let's look at audio. This is a massive part of the game. If you're not communicating, you're not making the most of what this game has to offer. Okay, master volume is set to 100. Music is 70, so it's not overwhelming on the menus. SFX is on 50. Now for the communications channel, there's a bug where these levels have to be reset every game, which is an absolute pain in the arse. They'll look the same, but you'll need to go in, move one of the sliders up and down to get the levels to work as intended, so just bear that in mind every time you start a game. Proximity chat, this is the chat coming from the players nearby, usually the blueberries, the players with the blue icons. This is set to 50 for me. Unit voice, this is your squad chat, which is obviously the green players and is not limited to players just around you. This is set to 50. Leadership voice, this is only heard by officers or the commander, and to allow squads to communicate with each other, again this is set to 50. Party voice, if you join a friend's game you'll go into the white party chat. I'm set to 50 on that. UI volume, not sure what this is to be honest. Anyway, I've got it set to 80. Ping marker volume, this is the sound of the red ping marker. Set by your teammates. This is on 90. Okay, and this is a big one too. Microphone volume, try to keep this at 50 or under, otherwise it puts your mic into like an overdrive mode where it goes way too loud and muffled and you'll be super annoying to your squad mates. If they can't hear you, try moving your mic closer to your mouth or speaking louder before you even think about touching this. Okay, and they are my settings. If you run different ones to me, then let me know what they are in the comments and maybe I'll give them a try. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the rest of my channel if you haven't already. And yeah, if you see me on the battlefield, come say hi and make me feel like a little celebrity. All right, see ya.